have you talk one more time.
I can talk one more time, 2 more times, 3 more times.
Perfect.
Okay.
Yes, okay, well, let's talk about what kind of contracts or what kind of bookings, how you get approval, kind of those kind of situations of how do you figure out how to shoot on location? Who do you talk to? How do you know who to talk to? And where does that start and go?
It always depends. Every situation is different, but you want to speak to whoever has the authority to give you permission legally. Like you have to think about the worst case scenario. All right, if we end up in court, how can I win this case? So you wanna refer to the person who is the owner of the location. It's usually a lot easier to deal with businesses that are kind of the mom and pop operations versus the larger corporate entities, because they usually have to go through layers of legal counsel or departments or permissions before allowing you to do whatever it is. You may want to do something simple like this in a coffee shop, Starbucks or something like that, and innocent enough, 2 chairs and a camera, that's it. But they may need to, you need to do a written request on certain kind of letterhead and email that over to the corporate person over in Seattle. Yeah. But if you go to, Maddie's coffee shop around the corner, and Maddie's actually behind the counter and can talk to you one-on-one about what it is you're trying to do, you can make that deal right there, right? So that would be location stuff. When you get into things like music licensing and stock image or stock footage licensing, they now have sites where the contract terms are just, you check a box and you're done, right? If let's say it's not stock, and let's say there's a particular song that is not in any stock library that you want to use for your project, you need to track down whoever owns the copyright of that song or that creative material, whatever it is, because it's the only person who has the authority to give you permission to use it the way you would want to use it. Anything short of that puts you at risk, puts the project at risk, puts your money at risk.
So it's a very in-depth details you need to think of every.
Absolutely.
Or else.
Yeah, and you have to think about the fact that you're creating something that will live on indefinitely, right? And that will have a life of its own. And so you have to think about all the possible avenues or channels or outlets or platforms that you may want this project to have access to. And you don't want to limit yourself. You don't want to get yourself into a situation where you have now put this beautiful project together and it's getting really positive response, and you only intended for it to be a small passion project of yours, and you're only going to show it to your friends, but my goodness, the world wants to see it, right? And XYZ company is knocking at your door with a big fat check saying, we would love to distribute this, right? And then they say to you, we just need all of your release forms and legal documents to show that you cleared everything that we see in here, all the people we see, all the locations, all the logos, everything that, we want to make sure, because if you don't, you would potentially put them at risk or their brand at risk. And this is a corporate business, and there are not many who are willing to take that risk or put their brand or their company on the line because you didn't get proper permission for something. You know, that might be a missed opportunity. So yeah, dig into authority, who owns copyright and who absolutely has the legal right to give you permission, documented permission to do what you want to do where you want to do it, or to show whatever it is you want to show, or play what you want to play. Yeah.
Man, I always think about shows that have like the water bottle turned the right way.
Yes.
It's just every little, you kind of
Yep.
just realizing it now.
Yeah, exactly.
little
And that's
detail.
because they don't have the permission from that brand. They also are thinking about steering clear of conflicts, because let's imagine that that you have now produced a piece that that includes Coca-Cola bottles at the table, right? So now you might then be limiting ad deals that your distributor can make with other brands that might be conflicting with Coca-Cola products, right? So you have to think through stuff like that. Unless it's a Coke sponsored, project, keep your options open.
Okay. Guess I never thought into that, like with other,
It's not in your textbook.
No. Exactly. You don't get the details. You get the real basic situation. Let's see. Okay, so that was the paperwork approval. So getting actors and getting a production crew, how do you start with that?
Well, again, it's going to start with the breakdown, right?
Okay.
What is the script calling for? What is the situation? What is this project calling for? What's the budget going to allow, right? So can we pay people scale? Can we pay people whatever they ask? Can we afford to feed people even? So you have to kind of gauge the situation against what you need, and then figure out how to merge the two as best as you possibly can. So if you have the budget, if you have the funds, you may want to use a casting agency to do a lot of the vetting for you. That's going to cost you, right? That's on the acting side of things. A lot of people now they're putting ads up on Craigslist and almost any kind of website you can name or app you can think of. There's so many ways to just put signs up on campus here. Hey, you want to be, So yeah, did you also ask about locations? Or what was the?
Crew.
Crew, okay, so crew is the same kind of thing. Break down what your needs are. And then figure out who you can hire to meet those needs, right? So if you know that this project is going to call for a lot of, heavy art direction or special kinds of makeup, or you know what I mean, to execute the story the way it needs to be told, you have to make sure that you hire the right people to execute that. So you always have to think about always think about your end result. What do you want that end result to be? And then build your team accordingly. Who can help you get there on budget, on time, with the least amount of resistance? Who's going to help me create the atmosphere that I want to have on my set or in this project? And you build accordingly.
That's a good, easy way to put it, but still very hard.
Yeah, and again, there are a variety of ways to do that, but you want people around you who understand the business side of this industry. I recognize that a lot of things have happened over the recent years that have made media tools more accessible, and so most anyone thinks, you know, hey, I have a camera, I'm a director now. And, you know, great. That doesn't mean that you understand the business of this industry. And you want to surround yourself with people who are interested in the long haul, right? Who get it and who understand how to deliver something for other people. You know, there are a lot of people who are pushing to get their own projects done the way they want to do them because they can, you know. And then there are other people who want to make a living, who want to make a living doing this. And that takes a very mature understanding of what's required of you. So surround yourself with people who are on that level too, and who get who understand content, who understand how to deliver a project, who understand that what your client is after is that's what you need to be doing if you want to get paid. So yeah, just it's not, don't just grab the roommate who's available on the day you need to shoot just because you need somebody to hold the camera. That's not necessarily going to net you the results you need, right? It might actually end up costing you more. So you want to be careful of that.
Yeah. Dang. These are going way deeper than I thought.
Really?
No, yeah. Because I mean, I got a lot of information from a lot of people, but
Yeah, who'd you talk to?
okay, so I had Chad, obviously.
Chad Govich. Yeah.
Kim, I went to her office. Kim
Buchanan.
And then Stephen Fisher.
Oh, good.
Yes,
Yeah.
he was very, very useful too. And then I was kind of talking to, what was her name? Oh, shoot. Rita? No.
Which one? Rita Wack?
Yes, but she...
Did you really?
I didn't get to talk to her personally. She was like, we'll meet up this day. And then she's like, I can't this day anymore. And then it just kept going. And then she stopped emailing. And I didn't want to bug her.
Keep bugging her.
Okay.
Keep going after Rita Wack. Yes.
Yeah, she was definitely interested. She emailed right away, but then she didn't have time.
She's
in the
just
car.
busy. You know, she's got a documentary coming up.
Yeah, she's doing that because someone's with her on the documentary, and or maybe
someone else from the list.
Yes,
probably
I think so.
Keith
Something.
or Bob.
And he was like, I'm honestly too busy. I would love to, but I just can't. And I was like,
And
this describes a lot about it.
Yeah.
This field.
Yeah, but people, we want to help. We do.
Oh yeah, everyone was very right away answering, which I was kind of surprised. I didn't think I was gonna hear back from a lot of people, and I was like, oh no. But everyone was interested, and then we just couldn't team up together.
That's all it is. Everybody's, you know how busy.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
How every day it's just like, I'm on this new project now. And then Vidal.
Vidal. Did you talk to him?
He called me this morning, and we talked a good amount too, and we had more of a just kind of conversation on what's going on. I love that, so that was really interesting too. And
good.
And went a little bit into some of the details, and he did talk about the Producers Guild.
Good.
And I didn't know that that's what it was even, because I was reading kind of about it online. You can't really get that.
That wasn't in your textbook?
No, I didn't even know it existed.
There you go.
Until you emailed me that, I was like, wow, I should probably know that so I could write about it. But yeah, and everyone is so willing to help and showing me their projects. And
good.
Yeah,
good.
I love it. I'm having a good time.
I'm glad.
It's hard to put it all on paper because there's so much.
Well, that to me means that this is bigger than a paper, right? So you have to think about how to run with this.
Yeah, I gotta keep working on this. How it goes too. So you did used to work under a studio.
Totally. I worked for Harpo, which is who brought me to Chicago. I worked for ABC. I worked for CBS, which I worked for King World, which was it's a distributor, television distributor. When it was being bought by CBS, when it was being bought by Viacom. I worked for ABC, which I believe you know is owned by Disney. And yeah, Harpo I mentioned. I feel like I've worked all of them. Yeah, and I've done projects for others. Even if for those, I was on staff.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So what's the difference between working in a studio, having that studio, than working as a freelance?
Paycheck.
Okay.
Benefits. To a certain degree. If you are involved on a studio level, or you're working for one of the companies, I think your boundaries are a little more clear. When you're on your own, it's kind of like there is no downtime, off time. I was talking to one of my colleagues recently about the fact that we don't have the luxury of being able to schedule, vacations weeks and months out, or the ability to turn something down because we have tickets to the game, or scheduled a trip to go somewhere, because those opportunities may not ever come back around if you're freelance. So you do have to be, to some degree, you have to be willing to just work whenever the work demands it of you. And you can almost never fully be present in a project because they're short term, usually, right? I'm working on a project right now that was just 5 weeks, right? So week 2, I need to be thinking about, what happens week 6, 7, what I'm going to be doing after this project is wrapped. So it's a constant hustle when you're freelancing, constant. And yes, you create your own degree of pay. You have to figure out your health benefits on your own. And you are your business. And so one of the things that I learned kind of in an uncomfortable way was that it's really difficult to be on your own as a freelancer. If you decide to go the freelance route, consider having a partner in some capacity, right? Because if you are ever too booked or too sick, whatever, there is somebody else there to kind of take the calls, book the project, or kind of keep things moving. If it's just you, something happens, you're not available, you can't do something, then what? How are you going to pay your mortgage, your rent, whatever? So there are some great benefits to being freelance. I pick and choose the projects I want to do. When things are flowing nicely, but at the same time, it is a constant hustle. So the studio side, you might be able to check out at 5 or 6 o'clock and on a Friday night and not think about work until Monday.
Oh gosh, yeah.
Right.
That's not weird.
Yeah.
You're like, all right, it's 2 a.m. on a Friday. This is what I figured out.
Yeah.
I just always feel so bad because I wake up and I'm like, oh, I wish I was awake to just be like, good job, you did a great job on that. Because we would always send like at 2 a.m. and I'm just like, oh, Alicia's still up and she has to be at the set at 7 a.m. Like what?
Oh gosh.
How does she do it?
Yeah. I haven't had a lot of sleep this year. Now that I'm thinking about it, because I've been in production and on intense productions a lot. And work has got to get done. And when you have a lot of people waiting to know what to do or where to show up, or just waiting for information about whatever, everybody's looking to you. And so that's what I mean. Like, there are no real boundaries with that. You're at the mercy of that project until it's delivered, basically. So yeah, it's nice to have help.
Yeah. So you know everything that's going on, every single detail that's going on the project at all times, so you can answer all those